We are gonna get nerdy today. And what I mean by that is we're going to talk about the neuroscience to help you avoid burnout. If you have a coaching business or hypnosis business, then you definitely want to listen to this, especially if you've done any of the personal development stuff, but you're still in this mode of really being concerned about burning out in your business and you want to take the precautionary action steps so you do not want to get there. Or maybe you feel like you're there already. What can you do today to help you with this? And so we are going to talk about this using neuroscience. So right now I'm going to share my screen with you because it is about to get super fun. So what we have here is your autonomic nervous system. So what this means is that this is the part of your nervous system that is completely unconscious. It is working in the background, and this is your internal surveillance system. This is on 100% of the time. Your nervous system role is to keep you alive for another day and is acting in service of your survival. So your internal surveillance system is always on. It is always detecting whether you are safe, in danger, or if your life is threatened. And again, this happens unconsciously. Consciously, you know right now that you are safe, but is your body also feeling safe? That is the biggest question. And the nervous system practices that are out there are going to talk a lot about the sympathetic nervous system state, but today we are going to talk about, oopsie, we are going to talk about something else that is different. And so, again, this is the autonomic nervous system. It is divided into branches, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. A lot of the times, people think that the parasympathetic is the good part, and it definitely is. This is where we want to be for rest, digest, healing, repair, safety connection, and social connection. That is one branch of the parasympathetic, but there's actually two branches, which again, I'll talk about in a minute. So if we are going through our day-to-day lives, we're just minding our own business. We are literally just minding our own business. We are running a hypnosis business and doing the marketing and the sales and the client and delivery, all of those things. Our autonomic nervous system is always detecting whether we are safe, in danger, or if our life is threatened. Now, where does burnout come into play here? Burnout comes to play when we go through all of our three modes of defenses. So, in a nutshell, when we're threatened, if our nervous system perceives that we are in danger, it is first going to go to the first line of defense, which is the ventral vagal state. And in here, this is when we look for others for support. And this is where we connect with others. If for some reason we do not, the demands are too high for being in ventral vagal state, then we go into fight, flight, slash flee. So we go into the sympathetic nervous system state. This is the state that people know about a lot. And in this state, our energy is mobilized, right? We are getting ready to either fight or flee the stressor in front of us or perceived stressor. And this is where, if we are really threatened, if our body and nervous system really feels threatened, this is where we release stress hormones like cortisol. But in a nutshell, we do release hormones such as adrenaline as well to get ready for our sympathetic fight or flee response. And so, if for some reason our nervous system is detecting that we cannot fight off the stressor in front of us and we cannot meet our demands, it then goes into the third line of defense, which is the dorsal vagal state, where we see shutdown, freeze, and collapse. This is actually what we want to talk about today because this is what we want to avoid. We want to avoid tipping over into the ventral vagal state of shutdown, freeze, and collapse. Now, how do we know that we are in shutdown, freeze, and collapse? Well, there are symptoms such as we're just feeling tired all the time. We, especially like during the day, even though we've had enough sleep in terms of the quantity and the hours, we still feel very exhausted, and somehow we just randomly have this burst of energy during the night. That is a sign of a dysregulated nervous system. And again, this is neither right nor wrong, just letting you know how the body works so that you can take control of it. And so we want to avoid this dorsal vagal state. And when we are in the dorsal vagal state, as I mentioned, we feel exhausted. We literally cannot move. We have that feeling of we want to do something, but physically we are unable to. We feel literally stuck. Sometimes we feel hopeless, sometimes we feel ashamed. We are very disconnected from ourselves and with others around us. We tend to want to isolate, and we are just feeling not good enough about ourselves. So this is this dorsal vagal state. And I'm talking about this because this is what we want to avoid, right? We tip over into our third line of defense, and not a lot of people know that they are stuck in this state. And sometimes they teeter over between sympathetic and dorsal vagal state. And so if you do want to avoid burnout, what you want to do is you want to notice in your body, because you're first going to go into fight or flight. So um what does that feel like to you? What does it feel like when your energy is just so high, when you feel urgent, when your thoughts are literally running a mile a minute? What does that feel like for you in your body? It's also you feel very, very tense. You feel very defensive. And when you feel that you're just like, you're up here, like your jaw's tight, everything's tight, and you're just like really ready to go, you seem to be bouncing off the walls and you just can't settle, and slowing down for you feels very uncomfortable. That means you're in the sympathetic nervous system state. And when you are in this state, you want to be really aware when you are in this state. And then that's when traditional relaxation practices can work to really down regulate you in your system. That is when it'll work. So be aware of what that is for you. Make a boundary for yourself to let you know what are the signs and symptoms in my body that to make me feel that I'm sympathetic, and take action on it right away. If you do the right things at the right times in the proper sequences, it doesn't have to take an hour-long meditation for your body to calm down. Inside the Bulletproof Nervous System, we teach practices that are like 60 seconds that can immediately calm your system down. So you don't need those long practices in order for you to calm your system down. And so notice where that is in your body so that you don't go into dorsal vagal. Now, if for some reason you tip over into the dorsal vagal state, then it will require something new practices. If you do something like the 1 to 2 breathing practice where you extend your exhales when you're in dorsal vagal state, that's not going to be helpful, because when we're in dorsal vagal state, our body, because remember, when we go into dorsal vagal state, because our body thinks that it cannot meet the demand, so then it switches over to energy conservation. Sympathetic is energy mobilization, and dorsal vagal is energy conservation. And when you are in an energetically conserved state, your energy is literally low, like your battery is like 10% and you're running at 10%. If you calm your system down, you're already hypo-aroused at the state. If you calm your system down even more, that is not going to be helpful. You're bottoming out an already bottomed out energy system. That is not what's going to be helpful. Instead, you want to add energy to your system. So right now, pause and make a list of what brings energy in your system. These can be really the basics and the pillars of health, like nutritious food, water, sunlight, sleep. Are you getting those? Those are what will upregulate you from the dorsal vagal state, and adding those into your life. Positive social connections will also help you go back into ventral vagal and add more energy into your system. So pause and do that right now. And the biggest thing that I want you to get from this is the concept of specificity. As I mentioned, when you use practices specifically for sympathetic and dorsal vagal, that shit ain't gonna work. That is the wrong prescription, right? Or if you do dorsal vagal state exercises, people do this a lot, especially in the breath work space, when they're in the sympathetic nervous system and they do breath practice that is designed to upregulate your system, you are going to put yourself in a motherfucking panic attack. So you want to really learn the concept of specificity. If this is something that is interesting to you, this is what the bulletproof nervous system is all about. So common specificity if you want more information, because if we keep doing this, if we keep on doing the wrong things at the wrong times, the wrong sequences, we feel that we're going nowhere. And if you are someone who has had personal development, had a personal development journey for years, and you still feel frustrated because of the lack of the progress, this is what's missing. Specificity is missing. This is a big game changer for all of the bulletproof nervous system students. So if you want more information on this, comment specificity, and specifically for burnout, if you are truly wanting to get out of this state and protect yourself, because as you know, you're a smart cookie. Prevention is better than cure, being down all the way low, right? So if this is something that you actually want to um, get out of, then comment or message me avoid burnout, and I will have a very, very special resource for you. So I hope this makes sense and it helped for you and gave you a big aha moment. Let me know what your thoughts and comments are below in the comments or message me. Otherwise, I will see you later.